Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining today for our webinar. And today we'll be talking about workforce nutrition, employees, and productivity. And I would also love to advise or advise you to share this video with your colleagues because it's something that every office, every institution, whether it's a small scale or a large scale, should watch and also practice. So by name, I am Chine Duru, and I believe you've been joining for my webinar, and it's been an insightful experience for everyone. And today we'll be talking about something really, really important because it's an issue that sometimes is being ignored, but the after effects will really be bad. Okay, so it's not a new news that when people eat healthy, when people do what they are supposed to do, they will definitely bring good results in their organizations. Okay, but before we commence, I think we should start by asking some questions. In your offices, how often do you take water to replace soda? A minute, please. My apologies. Oh, okay. So, when you're in the office, for me, I have my water here. I ensure that I'm always hydrated. So, how often do you replace water with soda, with coffee when you're in the office? That's question number one. Thank you very much for joining. Remember, the topic is workforce nutrition, employees, and productivity. Then the second question is, does your office prioritize nutrition assessments and anthropometric measurements while recruiting? That is the second question. Now, we're now going beyond the normal things that the HR look at for when they're recruiting staff. Do they prioritize nutrition assessments? Okay, if you're looking for a job, apart from your skills, okay, you're wonderful, you have a good communication skill, you have experience in this job, you can handle it, you've done it for so many organizations, and they really excel. Are there offices that will ask, please, can we know your current height? Can we know your current weight? Can we know your waist measurement? Can we know your hip measurements? Do we have companies like that? This is workforce nutrition we're talking about. This means that beyond the intellectual capacity you require from the employee, you also need to know the person's nutrition status, because this will contribute to the productivity or the output of that particular staff. Now, another question we'll ask is this: are there nutrition professionals attached to your institution? Just as we have, there's every institution you come to, you must see an accountant, because they believe that every institution they count money, but also every institution they eat food. So it means that a nutrition is just the same way an accountant is being attached in every firm. A nutritionist should also be attached in every firm. Now, let's move down. So there's always a connection between the employee's performance and nutrition. This explains why poor diets after a long period of time can result to some notable non-communicable diseases like hypertension, diabetes, even when people retired. If you have an aged person around you, maybe you worked in a private sector or even in civil service sector, you notice that it's more like there's a trend that when most of them retire, they have a particular sickness. And it's so bad that this sickness, they will now use their pension to be servicing this sickness. But if it's a place where workforce nutrition is put in place, this will not happen because they will prevent it, manage situation before the person retires from work. So when you're retiring to enjoy rest and not retiring to use the money you have to service a sickness that you got during your service year. So that's it. So when there's poor nutrition, the focus level of a staff, an employee, begins to drop. This is when you see staffs making some mistakes, asking some questions. Maybe this is a particular routine in an office. They know that in the morning you do this, you take this file to this place, you send this mail, you copy this person, you do this. Then it gets to a point that they're exhausted. And when they're exhausted, there's a routine of them taking unhealthy food. And because they are taking unhealthy food, it becomes very, very difficult for them to concentrate sometimes. There are some staff in your office that what they complain they are not doing well. It's not because they don't know the job. It's not because they are not experienced, but because they're not eating the right food. So the mental alertness keeps dropping and their productivity level keeps dropping. Now, when poor diet is being served where people work, there's always a low creativity and innovation among the staff. But when people eat healthy in their workplaces, the creativity, innovation, and performance increases. Again, we look at nutritious meal improve mental alertness at work. Okay, I've said that earlier, and also improves turnover in organization. Now, jobs that needs physical performance will definitely have poor performance if the people working there are not fed well. Let's take for an instance a manual laborer. Let me say you have a farmer, you're a farmer and normally use tractors and sometimes you get casual laborers to work for you in your farm. Now, applying this workforce nutrition, which is our topic, and employees with their productivity, their performance. If you bring a laborer to your farm, most times you have to cook for them. You have to cook for them. It's part of the criteria because they need to eat well so they can work well. If you get a laborer to work for you and you don't prepare a quality meal for that laborer, you won't have a good outcome. They may cover a particular extent and tell you they're tired, they're not well fed. So you have to repeat the cooking and you have to pay more for you to get your desired results. This is where it comes from. And again, you also notice that what someone that is a manual laborer eats, a security guard eats, is different from what a banker, someone into tech, someone into creative industry should eat to have a very good performance at work. Another factor is that absenteeism is very common where staff don't feed well. It's very, very common. If they don't eat well, if they're always sick, they'll be absent from work and their work will be unattended. Most organizations will just get another person to replace them. But it's not always the solution to that problem. If there's a frequent absenteeism from a particular staff, sometimes we need to check the health status. Why is this person always falling sick? What's the nutrition status? What is the issue? And not just immediate replacements. Okay? So another thing is that some work break Some work breakdown due to poor nutrition. It's better you eat right. I always tell organizations it's better you eat right than to be dependent on supplementation. It's very common for some people in their offices, instead of them to eat right, they'll say, oh, I have this vitamin, I have vitamin D, I have vitamin E. They just have all the supplementation, they put it in their handbag, and they rely on this supplementation instead of eating right. Kindly note that before you focus on supplementation, it should be prescribed for you. For example, I think a few months ago, or was it last year? I can't really recall, but it actually happened. I met a friend that was telling me, oh, I take my supplementation very, very serious ever since I heard about supplementation. And she told me, in fact, that she takes 1,000 milligram of vitamin C every day. And I asked, why are you taking 1,000 milligram of vitamin C every day? Who prescribed it for you? Say that it's good, it's boosting her immunity and everything. Are you saying it? That's too much. And a lot of illnesses that will still come up later in life will be within that supplementation axis. People that do nutrition supplementation without taking the right advice, if they really need it, and the dosage they should stay, and when they should stop the supplementation. Now let's move to the common factors that limit workplace nutrition. Number one is lack of nutrition awareness. It's very common that in organizations that the HR, the management teams, they really, really love to have activities in the organization, activities like, end of the year party. They want to have quarterly meeting, review meeting, different things. All is to know how the organization is growing, if things are being put in place. But you hardly hear nutrition awareness program, for an organization is not like that. Okay. Now, the second factor that limits workplace nutrition is the meals that are served in the canteens. Some of the canteens that you see in organizations, they actually don't serve the right meal. So staffs are left with whatever is available because they are hungry. Okay? They don't serve the right meal in some of these canteens. If you come to a particular canteen in an organization and what they're serving you is every day they're serving soda, they're serving different types of, baked confectionaries, the staff is now limited. I mean, the staff is now limited. And when the staff is limited to, this is what is being served in my organization canteen, it will be difficult for workforce nutrition to be effective in that organization. So what is served in the organization canteen limits staff from eating right. Another thing is over consumption of processed snacks and unhealthy snacks, which is most times is what they say in the canteen. Now, overworking that normally results to staff, skipping meal, and this is always applicable to people in the banking sector. Okay, when they have a lot of customers, they want to close up deals, they want to meet a particular stage for that day. You notice that when it's time for their lunch, they'll be telling them, say, oh, it's time for my lunch, but I can skip lunch. Let me attend to this customer. That's another limitation to workplace nutrition. Say, if it's time for lunch, go have a lunch. If it's time for lunch, go have a lunch. Whatever that makes you healthy, because if you're not very healthy, you won't perform well. I know someone may be thinking, if I'm not very healthy, I won't perform well, but I'm always giving the best staff of the year. if you don't watch your health pattern very well, is there still a possibility that when you retire from that work, you may still have issues? Okay, now let's move to this case study. Let me ask a question. What do you get served each time you're in your organization meeting? So imagine that your organization normally serves you snacks, carbonated drink, and your activity level is very low. You move from an AC car to an AC office to an AC house, forgetting exercise. And you just know that in Africa, to be precise, vitamin C is called a free vitamin. So you are not even getting it. You just move from your AC car to your AC office to your AC house. Vitamin D you're not getting. You just get the AC and no fresh air. And sometimes I just imagine I think it will really make sense if people that have that kind of sedentary lifestyle, who I would say that engage mainly their brain power, do more of mental work. Occasionally, I think the organization should conduct a vitamin D test for them. And secondly, I think it will also be a right practice if during the early hours, the staff of such organization step out, stand and get their vitamin D, even if it's for 5 minutes. It will help them. And work sometimes is not good and cannot be good to have a sedentary lifestyle when you are healthy, you're not having any sickness, like that. Then let's continue. So let's have a second case study. This second case study now, imagine a staff who works as a program manager, and this same staff is asthmatic and does not prioritize health. Now, this staff will be conscious of having his or her inhaler. All right. This staff will also be conscious of making sure that the organization meet up with the projects at hand. It's possible that she's doing good as a program manager, but because the health is not really prioritized because of the food that are available, it may affect the individual later in life. Now let's look at some solutions. I really think that dietitians, nutritionists should be part of all organizations, just like accountants are part of organization, even if they work remotely for an organization or they are physical in the organization, depending on the size of the organization. Then secondly, I really believe that lunch time should always be prioritized. Lunch time, no matter what you're doing, once it's lunch time, just suspend it and go for your lunch. And again, the third thing, I believe that fruits and vegetables should be part of complementary snack in every organization. Fruits and vegetables. And if I can take you back a bit, let's look at our airline. What do they serve in the airline? Most times it's still the unhealthy snacks you're talking about that they serve in the airline. Is that not workforce nutrition? So if you're someone that flies like 6 times in a week or so, most times you're forced to eat it because that is what they serve. So fruits and vegetables should be part of complementary snacks in every organization. And wellness program should be part of organization program. It should be in their yearly program. Then there should be something like award for nutrition heroes for the month. Kind of a monitoring process where you check your staff, what they eat for lunch, how they've improved in their dietary, in their diet. So it will really help. Then nutrition and anthropometric assessment should be part of recruitment process. When you are recruiting a staff, you need to know the staff body mass index. Knowing that staff body mass index will help you predict if this staff have the tendency of having some non-communicable diseases. Okay? So, nutrition and anthropometric assessment should be added to recruitment process. Okay? Then we'll move to the next. Occasional check on nutritional status. This should be what should be done in organization. Occasionally, you check the nutrition status of your staff. If when this person entered the organization, her hip to waist ratio was, let me say, 0.9 as a woman, which is high, supposed to be 0.85. Occasionally, you check it. If it drops to 0.85, you know that this person is performing the duty and at the same time is also healthy. Okay, serve water instead of soda. If you must serve juice, let it be fresh juice. Okay, then have graphics on the wall to remind your staff that healthy eating is very good and healthy eating will help improve their productivity. Now, give standard on body mass index, waist to hip ratio, and that reminds me of a country, Japan, their law of waistline target. In Japan, they have this waistline target that's they check people. Sometimes people say Japanese, they're not always fat. They have a particular, they're always slim because they have this law, waistline target. Do you understand? Won't you be happy to see somebody that worked in your organization after 50, after retiring, after 15 years after retirement, the person is still standing strong? And you have, when you have program in your organization, you invite the people will be happy to notice that they retired strong and they're still coming for the events you are having. But most times they cannot come because they retire and become weak and become sick. Not just age, but because of accumulated stress and poor diet over the past 10, 15, or 25 years. Okay, now, nutrient needs for different sectors. For different sectors, there are different nutrient needs. If you're a tech expert, you need food very good for the brain and food very good for the eye because you always expose your eye to the computer, your phone, you're always on phone. Then if you're a banker, you need food for the brain and you also need adaptogenic foods. Adaptogenic foods are foods that helps in stress management. Then if you're a teacher, you need food that can boost your immunity because teachers always have long-standing hours, including what's it called? Preachers, pastors that have long-standing hours. That is the food you need in workforce nutrition for you to be productive and have a good performance. Then if you're an entrepreneur or you're in a creative industry, you need food that will help in mental alertness. You need good food for the brain. You need food for stress management. And if you're a security personnel, you need food for mental alertness and you also need food for stress. So these are the different nutrient needs across different sectors that can enable workforce nutrition and also enable good, excellent performance in whatever they do. So thank you so much, and my apologies for starting the webinar very late today because of an emergency meeting, and I would love to get your questions, your comments, please, your questions and comments. All right, I'm holding on. For the viewers, I'm waiting for your questions on the workforce nutrition and the employees' productivity. Okay. Do we have questions, comments, observation? Is there anything you need more clarification on? Or do you want us to have the part 2 of this workforce nutrition where we can delve in more if you feel there are more information that I still need to share? Just let me know before we call it a day. Okay? Or is there any sector I do not remember? Oh, that's true. The farmers. The farmers, they need high calorie diet. High calorie diet because their activity level is very high. You can't compare the activity level of a farmer to that of a banker. Though this one deals more on physical engagement, while the other one deals more on mental engagement. But this one will need more of high calorie food because of the activity level. I don't know, I've not seen a very fat farmer before. Farmers I know, they're always on the slim side because they tend to burn it out very fast. But I also think that if you can have a law within our different organizations where waistline targets can be measured for staff, it will help reduce non-communicable diseases among staff, and it will also increase their productivity. Okay, so any question, any comment? Thank you, Yu Wang, for joining. Thank you, J Fishing Outdoors, for joining. But I would love to have your questions, please, on workforce nutrition and employees' performance. Okay, let's just cite another case. What if you have an employee that is always sleeping? I don't know if anybody have encountered that. I've encountered one of my employees. She loves sleeping. Then any little thing, she's sleeping. And when you ask her, did she sleep last night? She will tell you, yes, she slept very well last night. But she's always sleeping. She's always fatigued. And her performance was very poor. Just simple physical examination, I knew that this one, her nutrition status is low because she always appears dull. She always appears dull. So this is what workforce nutrition, how it affects the performance of our staff. Thank you once again, and see you some other time. Bye. Any question, comments? All right. Thank you.